Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine Cronetten and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Hey guys, we've got a super fun episode for you today with Carl Childers, who is with Keller Williams here in Atlanta. He has been a real estate agent for a really, really long time, like about a couple decades at this point. And he is unique in that he is juggling two careers. Not only is he a real estate agent, but he's also an actor. And so we had a lot of fun picking his brain on things like, mindset, right? Because like a lot of actors they spend so much time like coaching, becoming better at their craft. And so it was really fun to just kind of listen to him talk about like, hey, what does it take to be successful? What kind of mindset, what kind of belief systems do you need to be successful, whether you're a realtor or an actor like he is, or whatever passion you decide to pursue.
You're going to come away feeling like you just sat through a motivational speaker, which I Googled, and Carl does do motivational speaking as well. So it's quite clear, like you get excited, you're going to want to get off your butt and do some good in the world after hearing this episode. But yeah, Carl Childers of Keller Williams is great in many facets of his careers plural, and in life. And I like that he lives what he preaches, and it really someone who's so passionate about everything he does. You of course success is going to follow, and that's crystal clear in this interview today. So this is a great one. This is a fun one for sure.
So one thing that I thought was particularly interesting that we touched on here that I know that both you and I, Alan, are passionate about is this idea of like lifestyle design, right? And I don't know that we got into it as deep as I would really want to, because it's one of the things that I absolutely love with being in the real estate business is the opportunity that we have to actually create a really, really beautiful life for ourselves, for our families, to create, like what they say, generational wealth. But I also find that a lot of us in the business get so caught up in the business that we are literally on 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. We're constantly going. And I think there is an art and a science to being intentional and actually designing your life the way you want to live it. And, you have to put systems around that. You can't, you have to have a team that supports you. And there is so much that goes into that. We touch on it a little bit in this episode, but it's definitely something that I'm super passionate about. And I look forward to kind of exploring that with you, Alan, as we kind of go through other episodes.
Yeah. And what I think you're saying to people who are trying to kind of pinpoint what Jasmine's mentioning here, it's, some people are like, hey, I want to be a top producer, whatever that number is. Let's say it's 12 million. I want to do $1 million, sell $1 million of homes a month, 12 million. And you're saying that's great. You can do that, and you can burn the midnight oil and be working 80-hour weeks to reach that goal. And you're saying, no. How can you make $1 million a month by working 40 hours a week? Or, does it take a team? Does it take outsourcing? Does it take turning down smaller leads so you can focus on the bigger leads? Yeah, that's the purposeful design that I think you're mentioning. And I agree that is a very big component and something that everyone should focus on. Like, it's not just the goal, it's how's your life going to work within that goal? And it's a mental picture, which I think Carl really kind of lays out, is seeing that yourself is living that. And it's not just a arbitrary number on a spreadsheet. It's what's your life with that number in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, because the numbers are always going to keep, once you have $1 million in the bank, you're going to want 2. Once you have 2, you're going to want 3. You're going to want 4 or 5. It doesn't stop. The number is never like, you're just always there's always like more and more and more and more. So I think that's why it's really important to like be intentional and create your life the way you want it to be, not spend the next 20, 30 years chasing a number only to realize like, holy crap, my kids are grown. And all I did while they were growing up was chase numbers, right? And so that the intentionality and the vision of creating the life and the lifestyle that you want which we can. Real estate is really flexible, right? But you just have to be intentional about it. Otherwise, you're checking your email all day long, you're on call, and you just kind of, you waste a really, really beautiful opportunity to create an intentional, perfect life for yourself and your family.
I love it. So let's get started, guys. You're going to love Carl. Let's see what he's got to say. You're going to be motivated. Well, Carl, thank you for joining us today on Agent Upgrade.
Thank you very much, Alan and Jasmine, for having me. It's a pleasure. I will say that I've binge listened to all of your episodes, and there are so many truth bombs in all the episodes, but some of them kept me up at night in a good way, just like my mind popping with ideas. Because here's the thing about it. I don't care how long you've been in this business. I've been in real estate. I'll just segue into how I got into it. First of all, I grew up in a house where my father sold land. He sold it in Michigan, and then he sold all the land around these lakes. And he was like, okay, I got to find something else to sell. So we went to North Carolina, and he sold all the mountain property around where we were at. And then we went to South Carolina. He started doing the same. So you'll see a pattern. When I was very young, I used to sit in the back of this Mercedes-Benz diesel and would just ride around looking at land with my dad. So I don't know if it was nature or nurture, but it got in my blood. I love real estate for many reasons, which we'll get into. But after that, I didn't know I was going to go into real estate. Like, I didn't grow up saying, hey, I'm going to go into real estate. I went to college and studied international relations and political science. Thought I was going to go to law school. Changed my mind about that, which is a really good thing. And then went, and for me, I just, I'm glad I didn't do that route. I have very good friends that are attorneys, and thank goodness for them. But then I went into high tech after I graduated, and here's what happened, which I heard come up in a couple of your podcasts, and other people have said it. It's interesting, the pathway that a lot of people have taken to get into real estate, and sometimes it comes through getting laid off in other things, getting fired by other things, and the people back into real estate, or they find it and then the light bulb goes off. Hey, I can design my own life, and I can take control of my own life using a very powerful tool called real estate. And I didn't start as an agent. I was at a tech company. I had gotten laid off 3 in a row. This was around 2000, and ended up meeting some people in my extracurricular life who were investors. And they at a bar, and we were just talking, and they're like, what do you do? That whole conversation. And by the end of the conversation, they had charged me with going out to find a house for them to become a lookout or a bird dog. And if you've been in this business, we know what bird dogs are. That's somebody that you have out looking for you, that brings you deals, and you pay them some sort of reward for doing it. And although I'm quick on the outtake, I really didn't understand the implications of what I said. Yeah, I'll do it. I think I know where this crappy looking house is. It was for some fix and flippers. So on the side, I do this transaction, and I sort of messed up with it in that, in a good way. See, a lot of times flippers or people will sell, will get paid $500 or $1,000 for giving somebody a lead. But I went a step further. I actually wrote a contract on the property, and I put my own earnest money down in it. And I knew enough to know that I needed the right to assign it, which allowed me to then go, oh, I don't have to get $500. I can create something greater, a greater value than that. And I will be honest, I stumbled into an excellent deal. I sort of knew what I was doing, but not really. but it ended up being a tremendous deal. In 2.5 weeks, I walked away with a $60,000 check.
Well, let me stop you real quick. I mean, that's awesome. And just for people who are listening, if you've heard the term wholesalers, this is what wholesalers do. They're non-licensed. They get a house under contract, and then they assign that contract to someone else, and they can come up with any price that they've ever had. So if you ever hear the term of wholesalers, that's what Carl just did. All right.
Yep. And thank you, Alan. I realize not everybody will know what that is, or they need to be reminded. And I will say this, wholesaling is great for some things. It's great to come up with seed money to then reinvest into real estate, right? Because a wholesaler it's a job. It's, you're on a treadmill, and it's like working in a corporation. It's unless you get off of that wholesaling treadmill, you will always have to look for your next deal to create revenue and income, unlike being a true real estate investor whom obviously invests their money in it and fixes and flips it, or buys and holds, or whatever. So I'll go back to the story. I walked out of a closing with a $60,000 check, and that's how much my base salary was in corporate America per year.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I already wasn't happy with, I knew I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I already knew that. And I knew I was lying to myself I just kept taking these jobs that I could get easily because of my experience. But I wasn't happy. I didn't design this life. It wasn't, my mindset just wasn't there. So, and the thing about it is, if you are not committed and you're not passionate about what you're doing, how good can you really do it? For me, my life's journey, and I'll get into it more, you can't have a beautiful life if you don't have a beautiful mind and a beautiful mindset, because success isn't by accident. It first starts with you seeing yourself successful, even maybe before you believe it. All right. So what this one deal showed me when I walked out and I had my aha moment, I was standing in my cubicle and I walked in my boss's office and I quit right there on the spot. I walked away from the biggest transaction for this particular type of software that they had ever had. I had worked it for 15 months. It was closing the next week. We had gone past all of the technical hurdles, and really we were just waiting, and I walked out. And my boss was floored because he was like, just stay here another week. And I looked at him and I said, I can't, because I can't work here another day. And really what that was, it was my spirit telling me, you're out of alignment. You're not happy. I just showed you a better way. Now take this seed, plant it, and grow it into a tree. And
you've done that. Yeah, no, yeah. And you've done that. And I like it. And I think we'll get there. But you're basically learned, follow your passion. You're good at this. This was an opportunity. Let's seize the day. Let's seize the moment. But you've done that in real estate, and you have also done that in another one of your passions as well.
That's right. That's right. Acting. Yeah. Growing up, a lot of people grow up, they want to be movie stars. I thought when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be. Oh, I want to be a movie star, because in America, that's our royalty. We don't have the royal family or whatever. And to be honest with you, when I was a child, we grew up very strapped for cash. That's the nice way of putting it. So movies and TV shows were my escape to a life that I wasn't living. Okay. So I toyed around with it, but I didn't have the right mindset when I was younger. Right. And I decided to, my mother was an artist her whole life. And my father was an entrepreneur his whole life. Unfortunately for my father, he didn't see the value in art. And so it wasn't really supported. He wasn't mean about it, but it was just like, oh, you can do that later. Oh, So I always thought that life was to be like my father. I'm like my father. I never considered I'm like both of them. And so you're right, Alan. This incident did show me that you can take control of your life. You by being bold to take a chance. I just knew at that time, I didn't know what I didn't know, but I knew I didn't like corporate America. I knew I didn't like feeling whatever this feeling is called inside of me, and I was unhappy. And so I took a chance, and I was afraid, but I did it anyways. And that's the thing about success. Now, whether we talk about life and being a successful realtor or investor, it first is you have to take that chance. You have to press past that threshold of fear, that thing that stops your investors from buying one house or 5 houses. Or maybe they'll go, okay, I'll buy 1 house, but I'm not buying 5 because I don't want to build this huge thing that's going to take over my life. That's fear that's stopping them. Because if they read your book or they've listened to this podcast or any number of other ones, you realize that freedom comes through risk. And it doesn't mean you don't have fear. It just means that you accept that you do, you recognize it, and you do it anyways. And it's, because success leaves clues. And I bet you could tell us story after story after story of being afraid of taking another step, but you did it anyways because you just knew you had to, or you knew you wanted a better life, so you did it. All of us humans can relate to that. So let me get back to, I go off on tangents because I get excited about points, but really circling back around, real estate, I did it for the next, up to 2008. And it wasn't because of the market. My daughter was born in 2008. And I worked for myself, flipping houses, flipping land, fixing flips, new constructions. And then 2008 stopped. So all the investors I was working with, they just all paused. I owned some properties, but I got rid of a few things, and it wasn't because of the market. I just actually looked smarter than I was. It just was timing. And then my daughter was born in 2008. And I said, hey, I'll just stay at home with her. I didn't know what I was getting into. My wife has a great corporate job. So she went to work and I stayed at home with my daughter. Right around that time, my mother and I had the last phone conversation a conversation that we'll ever have. And this segues, Alan, into the success that I've had in acting. And what life, if you're open to seeing it and hearing it, it will tell you everything you need to do. Maybe not as dramatic as this, but sometimes it does take a punch in the teeth to get you on the right track, to wake you up to the reality of the life that you should live. And I was talking to my mother one evening, and she asked me, whatever happened to acting? You've been great at real estate. You're doing fine. Like, you drive this nice car. You drive a Mercedes like we used to drive. And, I was like, yeah, okay. But she was like, but I feel like still there's something missing or whatever. And I said, I don't know, Mom. I just didn't do it. But it's becoming more prevalent in Atlanta. And this was around 2010. She was like, well, I think you should do it because you would always light up. And what she was saying is when we have a cause, our why, our reason why we do what we do, when we know what that is, we all light up as human beings. And we all live a happier and fulfilling life. But I wasn't, and she called me out on it. And 3 days later, she died in her sleep. And that was the last conversation that I ever had with her. But to me, I look at it, it was like the universe was giving me a message. Wake up. Face your fear. Quit putting off for tomorrow what you have to do today, because nobody's promised tomorrow. We all think we're going to live to be 90, but we might not. So if you're an investor, don't wait until everything's perfect, because it never will be, to buy your next house. Save up your money, get with Jasmine, talk to Alan, and buy the next house today. Because what I realized is there is no tomorrow. And so about 2 weeks later, I came out of this funk, and I called a producer that I know. I was like, I have to be on a movie set, like now. It's not going to be as an actor, but I just have to be there. I have to put in motion now. I don't know how, I don't know why, I just have to do it. It's just like I did in that first real estate transaction. You just have to freaking do it. And there's a thing about momentum. You got to start that ball rolling, but it starts with a mentality, Alan. And it's like, and realizing how your mind works, because your mind will stop you. But you have to see that your mind is not always your friend. It's going to cause fear sometimes. So I pressed through. I wound up on a production set the next week, and I really haven't stepped off of one in the last 11 years. I have my keys to success are understanding that I need a team, that I can't do it alone.
Well, so you're now balancing two successful careers, acting and being a real estate agent.
Yep.
And I think it's that fear that, well, what I see what I hear when you tell that story is that you basically your fear was, I don't know what's to come. I don't know what's expected of me. I don't know what challenges I'll have.
Yes.
But you believed in yourself to say, I'll handle it. I'll handle whatever comes my way. I'll work it out. I'll figure it out. I'll overcome it. It really, I think that fear is overcome with belief in yourself. Like, you believed in yourself.
You have to believe in yourself. Like, it's not.
But what does that mean? What does that mean though? Like, we talk about that so much, like you have to believe in yourself, but what does that actually really mean? Like, can you guys tell me what's your definition of that?
Well, I think about that a lot, Jasmine, and I love that you just put that up there. And I am shaking my head because I spend a lot of time thinking about that, and I've spent a lot of time and a lot of work on my spiritual journey, because I believe we are all spiritual beings having a physical experience, okay? And so what I mean by believing in yourself is not waiting to see something before you believe it, but you have to believe it so you can see it. I think the world has that axiom incorrect. And so really, I was like, okay, so what does that mean? And so I scientifically started researching how the brain functions, because I believe that fear comes from right here between these two ears. And then we feel it because your thoughts are connected with your emotions, and then your heart rate, and you perspire and your palms get sweaty, and so you stop. Okay, so what I think self-belief is the understanding how the mind works. So it is scientifically proven that individuals have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. Okay? Now, it's also scientifically proven that 80% of those thoughts are the same thoughts today as they were yesterday. So that's about 56,000 thoughts that you had yesterday. You're going to have it today, which means you're going to have them tomorrow, which means you're going to have them the next day. Okay. So 80% of your thoughts, all these 80%, but there's science behind all of this, and you can research it. It's not for people that are against spirituality or what they think that means. This is scientific. So if that's what you believe in, there's science to back this up. You have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. 80% are repeating, and 80% of your thoughts come from a negative place. And if your thoughts over time become your personality of who you are, or your thoughts become your habits, really is how it is. Because what I think is what I do, and what I do is my habit. And when I do something over a long period of time, it becomes my personality. So what do I think it means to believe in myself? I have to take care of myself. I have to put myself first in a selfless way, which means I have to hack my brain, and I have to do the things, Alan. I have to do that first deal when I don't want to, but I press through that fear because I have to believe in myself, because I have to set a precedence of goodness and abundance that will self-perpetuate day in and day out, but it will never start if I don't do it, and I might have to do it before I believe it. And that is belief, though. I think they're symbiotic. By making that step, even in fear, means you believed. It does, and maybe the only place I saw it was in my head, but I believe that that's enough, because everything we see around us, everything that was created by an individual was first a thought. It didn't just appear and then you thought it, and then it appeared. So my thing about self-belief, about becoming as successful at whatever careers in life that you want to design for yourself, and I believe that you have to design it. And it takes work, but it takes courage, and it takes buying 5 houses, not one maybe. Because 5 is your freedom. Not one's probably not going to pay all your bills off per month on a recurring basis. It's going to be a number of things.
So I like what you're saying. I agree with all you're saying. I think it is sort of, you've got to picture yourself succeeding, and then that's the roadmap. And then you're like, well, I don't know where I'm going to stop, what gas stations I got to stop at to get there. But sort of the way I approach it is probably less mindset, but I do 100% agree with what you're saying. When I say believe in yourself, I think is best articulated. There's a book out there called Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. And so basically she's like, she tells a great story about her mother, whatever it was, she's like, we can figure it out. Everything's figure outable, right?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of, I like, okay, I'm going to go build a new, like, I want to work with builders as a realtor. I probably should build a house first. Most people don't do that, but I saw an opportunity, and it's like, I've never built a house before, but it's been done. There's a process, and I will never learn the process until I actually do one. So why be scared of this? Like, it's a learning opportunity, and I might learn I hate it, and that's fine. At least I learned. At least I tried. I may fail at it, but at least I learned. Like, there's more learning in failure than there is in success.
Oh, absolutely. We don't remember the times we succeeded, but you get punched in the teeth, boy. You don't forget that.
Yeah, right. And so to me, it was like, I don't know how to get to that finish line, but I know what that finish line is, which I think kind of ties into your vision and mindset. And then it was like, okay, what do I do? I guess I'll start with an architect, and then that architect is going to tell you how to get to step 2. And that step 2 is going to tell you how to get to step 3. And step 3 is going to say, well, you got to go get this permit and talk to this person, step 4. And it's like, okay, I don't need to know the whole path now.
Nope.
And even if I had the whole path, what are the chances it was going to, it's going to be perfect? And I come from a project managing background, and there's two philosophies. One is called agile, which is like sort of quick and easy, and we make it up. And the other one is called waterfall, where you have to figure out all the plans step by step in advance. And then once that's complete, level 2, you're going to do all this. And so you build 18 months, 24 months on a waterfall plan to go get approved by a software company. And by the time they approve that, all the technology's changed. And it's like, that plan would have worked 2 years ago, but now it doesn't work, right? And so I love the agile, because it was like, what needs to be done today? Like, that's all we care about. What needs to be done today? Tell me what you did yesterday. What are you working on today? Great. Next meeting, next morning, what did you do yesterday? What's being done today? And that's how I approach everything. It's why I believe in myself. Whatever needs to be done today, I'm going to do today, right? And I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to be anxious. I'm not going to stress out. I'm not going to stay up all night thinking about what's got to happen in 3 months, because it doesn't matter. What has to happen today, what happens tomorrow. So, and
the thing is, you've been doing this and living that way since like 2000, 2001, or whenever it is that you got into real estate up in New York, and the thing about it is, you've been living in this process, the way you do things for so long. It's your habit. It's who you are. It's why you're successful. And, and you're right. You have plans in place, or you juxtapose with your ideology, which is, I'll just get it done today. Whatever comes up today, I'm going to handle it. Because the reality is, people only get overwhelmed when they look at all of the variables, like not just today. Well, what happens tomorrow, and then the next day, and then next week, and then what if the dirt doesn't show up in so here's the thing. Your structure in your ideology gives you confidence that I'm going to accomplish everything I can today. And it doesn't bog you down, because you can only do one thing at a time and be good at that one thing. Just focus on the one thing. Gary Keller says, find the one thing and focus on that. And if that's all you ever do, you will be great.
And that's a great book. Jasmine, you actually gave me that as a gift.
I did.
Gary Keller's book, and it's called One Thing, and it's probably right here on my shelf somewhere.
It's fantastic. And one thing to me, like I was listening to yours and Jasmine's podcasts, which I appreciate this. One thing goes to other areas of life too. Like you only refer people to like one type of contractor. You don't have 5 contractors. You have said that you align, if it's a roofing company, you only refer people to one roofing company because you have the one roofing company that you do business with until they come out of alignment with how you do business, and then you find the other one thing. And I think that this all comes back around to designing your life for success is finding your one contractor, finding your lender, finding your whatever it is, so that you know when you refer business over to them, you can turn your back and go do everything else and not worry about that. And that is how you succeed in anything in life. That's why success coaches and life coaches are awesome, and retreats are awesome. I have coaches in real estate and I have coaches in acting, multiple. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without them. And I'm just starting. Like, I don't care how long I've done real estate on and off for 20 years, acting for 10, but I'm a baby in each one of them because I feel like some days I know nothing. And I have a lot to learn, and I think I'm just always going to feel that way because it keeps me going. I always want to learn. I always want to level up. I always want to be an agent that is upgrading because I'm a person that's upgrading.
Right. I love that. Like, why? Like, people ask, like, successful people all the time, like, what keeps you going? Like, what keeps Elon Musk going and Jeff Bezos and stuff. And it's like, I don't understand just like being successful and then retiring and going out to the beach. That just seems boring to me. Like, I want to see what else, everyone can accomplish. Let's go see what, let's keep working.
Absolutely. And I think if you spoke to people that actually think that that's the game and you talk to them a year after they retired or whatever, unless they have a new purpose in life, they're usually not happy. At least a lot of the ones that, and money doesn't make you happy. Like these people that I'm talking about, like money's not their problem. They don't have a reason. They don't have a purpose.
Yeah, I like that.
What gets you up in the morning? Why does your feet hit the ground with not like, but why does your feet hit the ground? Why am I going to go out and like help my investor get his 5th freaking house today? I mean, that gets you pumped because you're successful because you're watching and you're setting other people up for success. But how does it make you feel seeing them be successful? Wow. That is real currency to me.
Right. So I love this, and we may have some agents listening here who might be like, well, Carl, I'm going to go follow my passion, and it's not real estate, and that's fine. Go follow your passion. I think if you're doing what you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work, and you'll be successful at it eventually, and the money will come. People say that all the time, but it's true. You just have to do it to realize it for yourself, I think. A specific question about someone who balances so successfully 2 different careers.
Okay.
Do you find roadblocks from people see you as an actor first, and then you say, oh, I also sell real estate, and then vice versa? And how do you overcome those roadblocks?
Okay, I'm in the fantastic question. Very timely. I am an agent in Upgrade right now. I hate to keep throwing that out, but I am. And so here's the deal. People in the entertainment world or acting world have no problem with that. Okay, because they realize a lot of people have to do 2 jobs to live a passion and fund a passion until the passion can become your resource of abundance, right? And so in that world, they typically, it's an asset to that. On the outside of the world, if they're not in your sphere or your circle that really knows you and knows that, hey, Carl's been doing real estate for 20 years as a whole, and he can do this. He's been successful at this. Like, they don't have a problem. But new people or people that I don't know, which you have to build your business on, yes, that, could send mixed messages. It's like, hey, what if he's in the middle of my transaction and he gets called to where does my transaction go? And here's the thing. I have done real estate. I started off working with myself and not being on a team. Now, because of the life that I am always designing, I have gotten to a point, Alan, to your point of accepting that and making changes. And I just joined Keller Williams not too long ago to join a team so that when I have to go do something else or I can show a house, it could be real estate, but I have a team with me that's going to keep all the transactions going, that all the systems are created. I don't have to recreate a wheel. I don't have to do that. And I am also upgrading a lot of videos. Like I have a background in production. Great. I have a background in marketing. Now I want to scale my real estate business bigger than just my circle. I've had word of mouth for so long and it's worked well for me, but I've had some aha moments like, no, I'm ready to scale up. I'm ready to be to do an agent upgrade. So now a lot of people start on a team and they transition to running their own thing. I ran my own thing and now I'm transitioning into a team because it fits the mold of life that I want. And I'm also working on producing a series of videos and channels that will separate out the actor side and the real estate side because I now want a lot more out of the real estate and I've been really successful at it. Don't get me wrong. I've worked huge deals, put together very complex deals. I'm all sort of in these circles or whatever. And I've done a lot of it without any fanfare or, hey, look what I did. A lot of stuff has gotten done. But when I've helped some of my clients, investors get their second house and their third house, the joy on them, and one of them is an accountant, and her mind was blown. She's been an accountant for over 2 decades and has done other people's books that have owned real estate, and she didn't own any. And then this year alone, she's bought 2 houses, and we're looking for another one. Her mind is blown because she finally took the step to live what she's preaching. And what she's preaching, meaning you need write-offs, you need shelters, you need this or that. So the joy I've gotten from that, oh my gosh, it's so addictive. I want more of that, and I have to create that. So yes, I realized that, in your sphere, they'll accept you. Outside of your sphere, you do have to be purposeful with your actions and your time, which means for me, to be more accountable, I joined a team. I'm doing channels that are only that have nothing to do with my acting, entertainment, or anything.
Do you bring up on set when you're on movie sets and whatnot that you're a real estate agent, or do you have to keep that separate as well?
Well, it depends. Like if we're in the moment of acting, you don't talk to anybody. Like if I'm in my headspace, I don't want you coming up talking to me about anything about real estate, because I might be, a soccer coach with a little league team when they yell action, or I could be a mafia boss when they yell action. I don't want to talk about real estate right there. But what happens is like those days are long. It could be 17 hours and there is a lot of downtime and you sort of feel the room and you feel it. So the conversations usually go to those small talk. Hey man, what else do you do? When you're not here. Oh, I do real estate. Not only do I do real estate, I freaking love real estate. Why do you love real estate? Because it can completely change your life financially and it can help you design the life that you want. It's a tool. It could be a tool. It doesn't have to take over your life. You can use it really how you design it. But you do have to be purposeful with your intentions, just like you do acting. In a scene, you have to be purposeful about the things that you say. In real estate, you have to be purposeful about the things that you say and the things that you do. And so I do talk to anybody that'll listen about real estate. And it's interesting, like you can go to a party and the 2 things that most people don't get tired of talking about are real estate and like movies, acting. If they hear I'm an actor.
That's true.
Or if they hear And so as you can pick up on, I'm a guy that likes to talk, and I get passionate about it. And so our conversations will be a mix between, hey, tell me about the last set you were on. Oh, what about, have you seen any houses up in Milton? Or, it's usually like this because people love talking about both things. So it's a gift, It's a gift to me that I just ended up in both, and that these are things that people like talking about, unlike other things, real estate, religion, or whatever the case may be. People at parties go, no, but you bring either one of these up, and a crowd just grows around you, and they want to know about both.
Right. I agree that real estate, it doesn't matter what real estate's doing. People want to talk about it with you. At least I get that a lot, and that's my favorite topic of conversation. So let's talk real estate, anytime. So but acting is I can totally see that being possibly more entertaining to others, to be like, well, tell me, what are you working on? Those are just exciting topics of conversation for sure.
Well, I will tell you this, Alan.
Passion.
I'll tell you this, Alan. That I do a lot of conversations when they know, oh, you're an actor. I will start the conversations with them with, acting, and you pull people into it. And then I go, you know what? I also am a realtor, and I do real estate, and I've done it on my own for over 20 years. And then I'm also a licensed realtor. Oh, you are? Tell me about that. I've already pulled them in, and it's authentic, though. I don't make that up. That's who I am. And so if you come from authenticity, people will hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
They're interested in real.
Right. Well, at one point I had a list going, because I used to only watch TV or seek out TV shows and movies that had a real estate angle with it, kind of like Modern Family with Phil Dunphy being a real estate agent. Do you have any favorites? Can you think of any?
No, I really don't. But I'm just laughing because if I did see a realtor in it, in the movie or whatever, I laugh. But I look at how they portray them. And
mortgage brokers are worse, though. Like, oh my God, like in The Big Short, the mortgage brokers are like the sleaziest people on the freaking planet. I'm like, there's never been a cool loan officer girl in any show ever.
Well, maybe we need to change that.
Yes. I know.
I'm always trying to develop new content and come up with new ideas.
Mortgage offices would make great sitcom. Good Lord. The stuff that we see.
It's true. It's so true. The stuff that you're told, that you see, that you might have to speak with people about. Do you really need the budget of going to do X, Y, or Z? Because that's keeping you from getting your hat. I think one thing that I would say, though, I think that kids, when they are trying to choose a career, they're trying to choose a career, they should always at least check in with a loan officer to see, I have seen thousands of people's pay stubs and W-2s. I pretty much have a memory bank of how everybody pays professors at local colleges, professors at business colleges. I can tell you what jobs you should apply for if you want to make good money. Just come to a loan officer, because we literally know how people make money. And we always talk to people about their work, so we can of course, I find the one thing that I find is really, really fascinating is, a career like nursing. Nurses, they are paid so freaking underpaid. Freaking underpaid. Some of the kindest, gentlest, most loving humans are the people that come to me that are nurses. And I look at their pay and I'm like, you work 12-hour shifts and you get how much money? It's, especially right now with the pandemic and everything, I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, you have been a COVID nurse for 19 months. Holy crap. Wow.
They do it out of love. They don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the money, for sure. And yeah, it's crazy, but career choices. Talk to your loan officer if you want to know what a good path is to making some money.
then you know that I do acting out of passion. Then, because if you've seen
actors too, right?
I mean, but we're not saving lives or doing anything like that. We might portray that on TV, but we're not doing it for real. And my heart does go out to nurses and first responders. I got to know some first responders here in Alpharetta. I actually helped save this man's life at the YMCA a couple of years ago, and then got to know the first responders who showed up 17 minutes later, because when they came around the corner, it was like an action movie where the hero in slow motion comes around the corner and the person in trouble, the world has fallen away. It's blurred out and there's tunnel vision, and these people in their scrubs just walking down, doing what they do every single day, coming in like the cavalry. And when I saw them and I did the hand, my body started shaking uncontrollably, because I'm not used to having that responsibility in my hands. And so I asked them all, we had a conversation after that. I asked them, why do you do this? And they said, because I love serving my community. I love serving people, and we're passionate about it, and we don't do it for the money. But agents are in a service industry. We're in a service business, and you can bring and underwriters and all of us are. We're in a service industry, and we're not in service for ourselves. We can serve ourselves by serving others and working these deals to success day in and day out. If we keep doing that, then it will build our lives to be successful. It will build our careers. It will do it one brick at a time. And I say brick, my son loves Lego. So when we get sets and we're going to build the Boba Fett head, he looks at it, it's like, there's 1,700 pieces. And I say, one block at a time, because that's all that we can do. All we can do is the one thing very well at a time. We can only serve today very well at a time. We can only serve this one client very well at a time. And we can only serve ourselves very well one day, one client at a time.
I love that, Carl. I think everything that you're preaching and living, like that's the key to success. So if everyone's listening to this, it's just, I think it comes back to believing in yourself and and doing, well, it's two things: believing in yourself, but also doing what you love, because then that's all you're focused on is let's make this work. And you're not counting, figuring out the commission check before you write the offer or anything like that. You're just, let's get this deal done. Let's make someone happy kind of thing.
Absolutely. When I was thinking about what value I could potentially bring to your podcast and this discussion today, besides just being my true authentic self, which is what it ended up being, because, you have a lot of people that are very high profile, successful realtors. And I could sit here and talk to you about the transactions that I've done and the deals I've put together. But I just started thinking about the name of your podcast, Agent Upgrade. And what does that mean? And you can put agent, you can put mortgage loan officer, mortgage broker, you can put life upgrade. And where we start with that is taking care of ourselves mentally, putting mental health first, which is directly correlated with spiritual health. Whatever that means to someone is fine, which is all connected to being successful at real estate. They're not independent of each other. We have to take care of ourselves, to take care of our clients, to do well in loans, to do well in real estate. So my word of advice, or whatever you want to call it, to agents that are just getting started: one day at a time, one thing at a time. Build your team. Find your lender, find your inspector, find those people that will help you be successful. You can't do it alone. It's a full contact sport, and it's a team sport. But team starts with yourself. You have to work on yourself every day. and be accountable to you and those people around you. Yep.
One thing that I would add to that is like, also it's like the one story at a time that you tell yourself about what you're doing as well, right? Because that is how you shift from being like a complete nervous wreck and not believing in yourself to really like whatever that story is, like, yeah, maybe there is a deal blowing up, everything is going crazy, blah, 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 blah. You can like work yourself into a tizzy, or you or you can be the solution finder and say, there is always a solution. Things are always going to work out. Everything is going to be fine. We're going to find a path. You have to tell that story to yourself before you can calm your clients down, before you can neutralize the situation, as opposed to you're a nervous wreck. You're going into combat with a listing agent and everything becomes a struggle, right? So that's like one story at a time is what I would say is just like, as every task that you're taking on, like reframe what the heck is happening so you can stay calm and be like the grounded, level-headed, I hold a vision for your success. You are going to be in this home. Everything is going to work out. And then you kind of trailblaze that for your clients and for everybody in the transaction and for your life, right? Because then you can keep that calm and then you can take the next step and the next step without losing the momentum.
And sometimes it could come down to, you will be in a home, because something could happen outside of control of anyone on that home. But how many times have anybody done this in life? They knew what they wanted, they went for it, they didn't get it, and because they didn't get that, they got something else, and it was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, I will always, anytime, when I'm working with clients and we have them pre-approved and then they're going into the multiple offer situation, like, and they lose out and they tell me, oh my God, we lost out. It didn't work out. Like the first thing I tell them is like, that means that there is a better home, there's a better home out there for you. There is something even better for you out there, right? Like that's the belief that I always bring into it. If it's not working, then it just means it's not working for this particular home, but that means that there is something even better for you. And then maybe we can help our clients reframe that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is they have emotions tied with it, money, and it's real world. And you just have to be authentic about when you say these things. And I know that you are, Jasmine. And because when you say those things, they got to know that you're serious about that. Otherwise, it's we'll get them next time, team. Blah, blah. That's not helpful to someone. But to agents, when we approach someone and are working with someone, we must always bring authentic value. And what that means is sometimes, I mean, I know I don't have to tell you two or any other agents that have had clients. Sometimes we're the therapist. Sometimes we're the, the coach. We have to be the calm in the storm. And, that's what we owe to our clients, so that when you have to say some tough words to them, we're not getting the asset, we're not getting the loan, or whatever the case may be, that it comes from a real place, because there's emotions tied to it. So I don't want to just be la-di-da about all of this. I really understand, like, those are hard conversations to have. So you have to be in alignment with reality.
Well, I think that wraps up this. Well, we're running out of time here. Yeah. I could talk for another 2 hours on all of this. I think this is great, Carl. You've been wonderful and very motivating. I think it makes me want to really kind of have a purposeful life and career, and really put in perspective, what is our joy, getting out of bed in the morning, like you put it, like we get your feet on the floor and moving. So a lot to think about on this episode. What are social media channels? Are you active in social media? How can people get in touch and follow you and reach out?
My name is Carl Childers, last name Childers. I'm sure it'll be in the notes. So all of my social media is Carl Childers at whatever that social media is. Also have Carl Childers at kw.com is my Keller Williams email. And also Carl at carlchildersrealestate.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been wonderful, and I'm so excited to follow you in both your careers.
Thank you.
And see where life takes you.
Thank you.
Lovely meeting you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.